All right, I think we are live. Hey guys, good evening. This is Kino again, and today is Fact Friday. FAQ just means that every Friday around 4 o'clock, I come on here and I'm gonna have somebody from the real estate world that would help you guys understand the process of different stages in the real estate in a real estate transaction might be the best way to put it. And this week we're talking to Byron Matthews. He's a real estate inspector with Pillar to Post. And this is one of the really, really serious part of real estate that you must make sure that you have good advice, have a good agent to help you along this way, and also a really good inspector that knows what they're doing. Okay. So I'm gonna have Byron just tell you guys a little bit about himself, how long he's been doing this, and then we'll get some information from him and find out um, some of the things that we should know or you should know when you're getting your home inspected. So tell the folks a little bit about yourself, Byron.
So I'm Byron Matthews. I'm with Pillar to Post Home Inspections. I've been doing real estate inspections for about 7 years now. Prior to that, I was doing a little some of everything. I've always been around commercial property buildings inspections and things like that. But I actually worked for the fire department 15 years. Did an early retirement on that. Got into the inspection business. I do HUD inspections, I do commercial properties, I do residential properties. I kind of do it all. And I've been doing all of that total combined for a little over 20 years.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, so basically, let's do it very general. What is a home inspection? What exactly does a home inspection entail?
So a home inspection is it's an unbiased evaluation of the property's condition. So what a home inspection does is it checks all the major components and systems, such as the roof, the foundation, electrical, plumbing, HVAC systems. Um, for most buyers, and you probably mentioned this in the past, this is going to be the biggest investment most people will ever make. So a home inspection, it provides insurance. It protects your investment basically. And a lot of people think that a home inspection is a pass or fail. It's not. It's all relative. What it does is it paints a clear picture of what the property's condition. So what it does, once paints that picture, it'll give the buyer understanding and make a sound decision, for maintenance, for any future maintenance, I guess, and to avoid any type of potential expensive costs after closing. That makes sense.
Absolutely. So what are some of the major things that a buyer should look for when they get that inspection report back from you to help them make a decision? But let me say this first before we do that. Generally, in the process, what happens is after you do an inspection, you get an inspection report from the inspector. It's usually a long list, and you go through that, and then you provide a list of items that you want your agent to ask the seller to either repair or replace for you. And there's some negotiation there. We'll talk about that in another episode. But what are some of the things that you always tell your clients to look out for, to pay attention to when it comes to that inspection report?
So once you get the report, a lot of times an average inspection report is going to be 25 to 55 pages long. It just depends. What I will say is if you see something in a summary, that's probably something you need to address. And then you can read the report. But I always tell all my clients to make sure you read the entire report. But just don't address anything in the summary. Look at the full report. And whether it's Keno or any other agent, uh, speak with them about that, and just have your best options. So anything electrical, I would say definitely you need to look at. That's something important. Anything roof related, I would say is important. And anything foundation or structure related, definitely. Uh, I would definitely say, hey, this is something you probably need to look at. And then, plumbing, of course, but it's just so many levels of plumbing, which is very serious. But anything like, drip leaks, minor leaks, not so important. But if we see a loss of water pressure, if something is not draining properly, then that's probably something that needs to be addressed. And of course, the obvious, the HVAC system is just not working. Definitely something that needs to be addressed.
Okay, cool. That's really good advice right there. Um, how long, generally speaking, I know it depends on the house, that does an inspection really takes. How long does it take to inspect a home? If you give us an idea.
That's a good question, kiddo. So in the industry, the rule of thumb now, put that in quotes, is 1 hour per 1,000 square foot. Okay.
Okay.
But again, one of my favorite words is relative. It's all relative. It depends on how old the property is. It depends on, like, of course, a newer home, right? A brand new construction probably won't take as long, even if it's 3 or 4,000 square feet. But if you take an older home that's probably never been renovated, it could be maybe 1,500 square feet, and it probably take a little while. But on average, an inspection can take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you just mentioned new construction. And somebody might be buying a new construction home and they'll be like, I'm just gonna save the extra whatever, two, three, four, $500. It's a new house. Why do I need an inspection on a new house? What do you say to that?
You asking some good questions. You bringing up some great topics, man. I can I got endless stories, Keno, of quote unquote new inspections. Buying a new home is not a bad deal, right? It's good, but a lot of people have the mindset because it's new. We don't need an inspection. It's new. Nah, no. I found plenty of things. I found loose duct in new homes. I found missing insulation in new homes. I found major plumbing issues in new homes. I found structure. I found broken rafters, truss in new homes. So absolutely, you need a new home. For a new build, you need an inspection.
Right. Okay. And what would you say? That's a new home, but what would you say to the buyer who wants to buy a home, love the home, um, and they might decide, you know what, I love this home so much, I'm just not going to do inspection. I don't want to make the put that as a contingency. I'm just going to buy the home. Everything going to be all right. What would you say to somebody who think they love their home that much that they're not going to do an inspection?
Whether or not it's a new build or not, or
Yeah, just whether or not, if even a older house, a pre-built house, we want to
yeah,
put it, I was
yeah,
a used house.
right. So what I would say to them is the things that when you look at a home initially and you walk through there, that quick walkthrough that you see, maybe the 15, 20 minutes you go in that home, you 90% of the stuff you will not see, whether the outlets, what the structural components, what are you getting in the attic? If there's a crawl space, are you getting under the crawl space? 90% of the stuff that you go in that 15 minutes, you're not gonna know. The only way you will know paint a clear picture of that house condition is with a home inspection. You don't ever want to go into something and or buy a home and after closing, all of these issues started off. Because that's usually when it happens after you close. And I would tell anybody, if you want to protect your investment, whether you use me, which I prefer you to use me, but whether you use me or not,
Right.
a home inspection, you have to get it. It's the only. Put it this way, now let me put it in layman's terms. Okay, just say the average cost of a home inspection, 350 to 400, maybe 450, right? Now, what if that home inspector finds something one that could have 2 or 3 thousand dollars? Was it worth buying that home inspection? Did that just pay itself off? It absolutely did.
Right.
And that's only one item that the inspector found that could have cost them. We're not talking, it could have been five, six, 10 other items. With that $400 or whatever, would it have paid for itself? And that's what I always tell people. Inspection, if I find one thing in your home that's a deficiency, to me, your inspection is paid for itself.
Right. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Um, on the seller side, sometimes we would suggest to our seller sometime, hey, do what we call a pre-inspection, a seller's inspection, give you an idea of some of the things that might come up under the other inspection. Do you do those? And generally, in that case, what do you look for, and why do you think it's a good idea to do things like that?
Great question, Kino. So yes, I do pre-inspections, and it's a great idea, and it's becoming more common. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people they may live in a house, maybe 20 years, right? And it's just certain things they're just not gonna know. They probably been in the attic maybe 10 times. They probably, if there's a crawl space, they've never been in the crawl space. And there's just certain things that they was just not aware of. So what a pre-inspection does is just it's set up just like a regular inspection, a buyer's inspection, and I'm going to look for the same things: the major systems, the major components, see if there's any deficiencies. That way, right? Once they put it on market, they're not blindsided, right? The last thing you want to do is put a house on the market. You have a contract on it, right? And then an inspection comes through. You found out, I don't know, that you having foundation issues and you didn't even know about it.
Right.
And now, guess what? What are you gonna do? Right? If you want to sell it, you're gonna have to get it fixed. So, and God forbid anything that I'm just giving extreme ideas, but that's
Right.
why it's important to do a pre-inspection. So you just won't be blindsided and how to prepare before. And talking to professionals like you, Kino, you will let them know, hey, yeah, you probably want to get that prepared or get that repaired before I put it on the market.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's and you're right. That is becoming more common because sometimes it just give the seller a heads up. And if there's stuff that you can take care of, there's some disclosures and stuff that still might have to take place, but it will be one less thing that you have to worry about negotiating with the buyer. So I think that's a pretty good idea. Yeah. Are you licensed in both? What states are you currently licensed in terms of can you do new, use? I say use because I used to sell cars, so new used cars.
Yeah, so I am licensed in Tennessee and Mississippi. I am under review to get my. I'm waiting on the state response, but I'm going to get my license in Arkansas as well. Uh,
Cool.
Tennessee, I can do any type of home, and that's as you say, used, new. And, in Mississippi, though, I cannot do new construction. I can do as long as it's over 18 months old. I can do inspections in Mississippi. And most inspectors that work in Mississippi, that's kind of the thing. Unless you are a builder or a general contractor license, they will not allow you to do new builds in Mississippi.
Okay, cool. So, in your throughout your whole career, what are some of the things that just seems to always come up in inspections, if there's such a thing? What are some of the things that you see consistently come up over time um, in a used home? And also because you don't do, then the next question I want to ask you, because you don't do Mississippi, how about here in Tennessee? When you do new home inspections, what are some of the things you see that usually come up that would tell us a buyer, you know what, I really probably should do, like we just said a while ago, uh, home inspection on a new home?
Mhm. Leaks. Well, a lot of minor leaks. I see that a lot. So what I do when I like check plumbing fixtures, I fill the sink up. I fill the tubs up. I do
Hmm.
all a pressure test. You fill that thing up, let it sit, and then you let it drain. Oh my God, you'd be surprised at the things you see. I see a lot of leaks, whether it's just loose fittings, uh, nothing caulked, just things like that. I see that a lot in new construction. I don't things the tub spouts not caulked, behind the counters are not caulked. I see a lot of that. That's very common. You see in in construction. Yeah, you see a lot of the molding not caulked, a lot of walls that's not square. And sometimes you may see some electrical issues like in the panel, like maybe some double tap out breakers, which is two hot conductors inside one breaker. Yeah. So those are a lot of common things I may see. A lot of flashing, missing flashing on the exterior of the home. I see that a lot. Whether it's window flashing, plumbing stack flashing, chimney flashing. Sometimes they just kick out flashing, and sometimes they just miss it.
Right. Okay.
And
Again,
which I won't know.
right. Because when it's all said and done, I mean, you have people make building these things, and people make mistakes,
That,
which is why, as a buyer, you got to make sure that you go and do your due diligence, make sure you know what you are getting. I usually tell my clients, even if, because sometimes you might not ask the seller to repair, replace, fix anything, but at least the inspection, you want to do it still because you at least want to know what's there to be like, okay, I can take up these whatever, how many things on my own as I live in the house for the next how many years.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
that's cool. All right, man. Well, listen, anything in particular you would like to just share with the with my audience before we get out of here?
One thing I always tell potential buyers when you're buying a home, you don't get too scared of because prime example. I did an inspection a couple of months ago, right? The This house had everything new. It had a new HVAC system, had a new roof, it had new plumbing. It just had new water heater. The problem was a lot of the way the house was set up. The uh, the buyer they didn't like it. It didn't meet everything, and that's fine. I get it. But what my job is to tell them, look, I can't tell how you, what to purchase. That's not my job. But I will tell you, this house. If you buy this house, a lot of things that you buy, you don't ever have to worry about. I mean, prime example, a brand new HVAC system. These days, it's probably about 20 grand. Brand new roof these days, probably about 30, 40 grand.
Mm,
So if you just weigh out, which is the purpose of a home inspection, but if you weigh out all the options, what you're looking at, or everything that's on the table, man, it's not, this is, like I tell them, I wouldn't have a problem buying this house. I could sleep at night if I purchase. And that's what I always tell them. But that's not my job whether to tell them to purchase or not. But what I will do is paint a clear picture. Hey, you got a brand new HVAC system, new water heater. Man, you're saving a lot of money on the front end. But hey, to
right.
your own, that's the decision you have to deal with. So that's how I kind of present things. I put out the good and I put out the bad.
Okay, that's cool. All right, man. Well, listen, Byron, thank you very much, man. You've been one of the people that I've has helped many of my clients with getting their home inspected, and they've always been satisfied of the job you've done. So, thank you very much for all you do for me and my buyers, and thank you for jumping on here with me today to just help help people understand one more aspect of the real estate of a real estate transaction. And this is one of those, and a lot of people don't realize this is the number one reason why real estate contracts fail is inspection. That's the number one reason, because it's stuff will pop up, but you will want to know those things before you buy the house. So thank you very much, man. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Keno. You have a good weekend.
All right, man. Take care. All right. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you. Thank you guys again very much. Hopefully I'm able to provide some good information for you when it comes to buying a home and inspection, and why you should never, I would say never, ever, ever not get an inspection done. Like I said, you do have the option to get the inspection and don't ask the seller to do anything, but at least you will know why you're not asking, because you're fine with everything compared to moving in and not knowing exactly what's going on. So again, thank you guys very much. I do this every Friday, 4 o'clock Central every Friday. Next week, I'll have another guest. I think this coming week, I'm going to try and have someone who was a first-time home buyer within the last year to kind of give you guys a walkthrough of what it was like for them, how they were, just the whole process, being nervous, being anxious, being happy, being down, being up, the whole cycle. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay safe. And again, if you got any real estate needs, give me a call, even if you just have a question. I am here to answer your question. If you don't use me, that's fine. But if I can answer your question, I will absolutely answer your question. All right. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Peace out. Bye-bye.